What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about something that is often debated here in Colorado, and that's how many 14ers are there. So before we get into that, if you've never seen the channel before, please give it a subscribe below. Typically we talk about all different things pertaining to hiking, hike reviews, hike gear, but today it's just going to be a simple video, how many 14ers there are in the state of Colorado. So before we quantify how many there are, we got to talk about what makes a 14er a 14er. There are three categories that something that is a 14er must fulfill. Number one, obviously, be above 14,000 feet. Number two, be official, so surveyed by the US government. And number three, it needs to rise at least 300 feet from the peak next to it. In other words, if there are two right next to each other, there needs to be a 300-foot rise between each of them for them both to be a 14er. And by 300 feet, I mean 300 vertical feet, not just lateral. So now that we've got that out of the way, what's the answer to the question? Well, it's not as easy as you might seem. There are 53 peaks in Colorado that are officially a 14er. However, you'll see a lot of people, myself included, that when they want to cross off all of the 14ers, there are 5 unofficial peaks that most people consider as part of that list, making the count 58 total. What are those 5? Conundrum, Cameron, North Elos, North Maroon, and El Diente. So those 5, even though they are not officially 14ers, still fit 2 of the 3 categories that I mentioned earlier. So like I said, most people will hike those extra 5, making the total now 58 14ers in the state of Colorado. But you want to make things even more complicated? Let's do it. So in addition to those 58, there's about 20 more peaks in Colorado that are either they don't fit the 300 rise fall rule, or they're not named. So if you really want to get technical, there's about 78 14ers in the state of Colorado. There's actually one, the Sunlight Spire, which is down in the Chicago Basin, which used to be 13,995 feet. However, after recently being surveyed, US surveyors figured out that it had risen 5 feet, and so now exactly sits at 14,000 feet. So it just goes to show you that there's really not a straightforward answer to this question. Obviously that leads to the question, how do you know if you can say that you've hiked all of the 14ers in Colorado? Well, ultimately it's a personal preference. Personally, I'm a 58 guy, and the reason I am is because for me, the extra 5 that you have to hike really involve no additional skills besides one of them. You could argue that North Maroon adds a bit of technical difficulty if you're looking to do the Maroon Bells Traverse, obviously, but really the rest of the 4, they're pretty easy, and I think that they should be counted as the 58. But ultimately, it's up to you. I can tell you one thing: no matter how many 14ers there are, I would not want to be up in the high elevation today. It is nasty up there. So, which camp do you fall in? Are you a 53? Are you a 58? Or do you say, screw it, you better get up to the top of every single one of those 14,000 foot mountains to call yourself a conqueror of the 14ers? Let me know in the comments below. If you've never hiked a 14er before, check out the link below, and I give you some tips and kind of like a more or less guideline to see if you're ready to hike your first 14er. It's a quick read and should be very helpful to help determine if you're ready to hike that first 14er here in Colorado. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to not miss any future hike videos.